here, and good morning to you all. I'm Daniel. I'm very excited to talk to you about our open source software foundation, which is called ALASCA. It's an association for operational open cloud infrastructure. We're developing open source software to strengthen digital sovereignty in Europe and for Europe. So in case you were wondering what all those animals are, this is our little zoo of logos from projects within our association. The first thing I wanted to share with you is a quote from Ariana, which is the community manager, or was the community manager of our foundation. She also had a talk here last year where she presented the initial steps of our foundation, and it actually made my day at a Friday afternoon where we had like an internal meeting with all the projects and technical steering committee, and I just want to read it to you because I think it's very great. I would like to briefly note that what we initially hoped for ALASCA 3 years ago has now come to pass, creating a space where ALASCA projects can interactively exchange ideas on all kinds of topics so that they can learn from each other and not just exist in isolation within the association. Hats off, really great. So this made my day. This is, I think, a really great quote, which I wanted to share with you. Before I want to talk to you about the internal stuff, I would like to tell you why we actually do what we do. So what we currently see is that the federal government is spending lots of millions in software from American hyperscalers. We just recently learned that Microsoft or the government spends $500 million in 1 year for software from US tech. And this obviously creates lock-in effects. So, and these lock-in effects then can be used to just create, to make software more expensive as they see fit. If they want to push AI slop into it, and then you basically have to pay for it. Also, you see license changes, which we see with Broadcom and Bitnami images. You probably were also affected by this. This also hit us hard and is still hitting us today. We see with this thing that we can get pressured by the US. We see that diplomats are fighting data sovereignty. They are trying to influence our laws at the EU level. They are shutting down our legislation, or the ICC, which is our judicial system. And last but not least, they decide who gets into the country, or which I think is the main issue here, who gets to have a bank account in Germany. So there is so many talks about here about the digital sovereignty in general, and this is basically, yeah, the answer from US big tech and also German companies. Everything is basically sovereign now, and in my opinion, if everything is sovereign, probably nothing is. We also have. If you look at the cloud market in general, the numbers are rising from the last in the last couple of years. So that's a good thing, in my opinion. What is not the good thing is that all the growth is basically eaten up by US hyperscalers, and the cloud, and the market share of European cloud providers is actually stagnating for the last couple of years at about 13% or 15%. So, and in my opinion, this is probably not going to change. If you look at the investments done by US cloud providers here in Germany and in the EU, this is the amount. Nobody is putting this amount of money into the system. So this is what made us brought to action. Basically, this is why we founded ALASCA, which is an open source software foundation for cloud software. It was initially thought of for this project called JAUC, which is a joint project by our founding members Cloud and Heat and Stackit. They started this in 2020, and they wanted to have a long-lasting foundation where they can move the IP to, so that they can work on this together, which led to the foundation in 2022 of our association. If you want to have more details into that, you can have a look at the talk by Ariane from last year. So from then on, we worked mostly internally to get the governance right, to get the marketing straight, to get the events straight. And today, we have 22 members, 17 companies, 1 association. I get into detail of that later. We have now 7 open source projects, and we think a solid governance with a steering committee. What are our goals? So there's threefold. We want to develop open source technologies, and we want to promote their use. We want to contribute to public and professional education, and we also want to build an open and inclusive community. We are developing a code of conduct at the moment, and we also want to, or we will have even a podcast of our own. So to our members, I already said we have 70 members. We started with 7, and each year we are growing. We have members which are small startups. We have even members which are now EU hyperscalers. And so we are very diverse. We are very much diversified. We are not even also or based in Germany. We have 7 projects. 6 of them have logos and a name, and the 7th one is actually currently in the onboarding process. So I can't show you this here. And I actually also won't go into detail about what these projects are, but they all deal with some sort of cloud infrastructure software in general. I would like to also give you an overview about the cosmos we are living in, basically. So, as I've said, we do cloud software. We are a member in the Open Infrastructure Foundation, mainly because we deploy and develop OpenStack. And yeah, this is in the Open Infra Foundation. We also have our own CNCF certified Kubernetes distribution, and therefore we work closely with the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. And just recently we joined the Open Source Business Alliance, and the little disclaimer here, I'm also in the board of the OSBA. And the Open Source Business Alliance started a project which is called Sovereign Cloud Stack some time ago, which is a project to standardize infrastructure as a service and Kubernetes as a service, so that you can just simply switch your provider, and you're not stuck into one provider for all eternity. We collaborate also with local initiatives like the Dresden Internet Exchange, and we have some member overlap with the NeoNephos Foundation. You probably have heard of them. They are a member of the Linux Foundation Europe, and they focus more on the EU IPSATSIS project. But of course, we talk to them and we learn from one another. The governance model we came up so far is all not written in stone, but for now this works very well for us. We have a General Assembly which appoints a board of directors, and the board of directors then in turn appoints a marketing and PR persons. They appoint the community management, and they send a member to the technical steering committee. The General Assembly also appoints the technical steering committee. They're elected for 2 years, and the steering committee then decides, or one major task the TSC has to do is to decide about the acceptance of projects into our foundation. Each project has to have or has to appoint a project representative. In case it's a larger project, they have to have multiple representatives, and yeah, this is basically the persons responsible to communicate what the projects want within the foundation. And there's this thing called FOCIS, which I will get into detail. This is the team I will work in, or I work in, and we basically help at all different stages of our foundation. Okay, so we have also come up with this project acceptance pipeline. If you want to join our foundation, if you have interest in joining, and we always get new interests every now and then, you have to answer a questionnaire, and this helps you decide all the hot questions, why you want to join, what you want to achieve by being a member of the foundation. And then if you have done that, the technical steering committee is deciding if there's a mission fit between your project and the foundation. This is then brought to the attention of the board of directors, and then if the board of directors decides you will that you fit, you get onboarded. And then we start this three-pronged pipeline here, which basically does you onboard in our test lab. If you need resources for your software, then we have that covered. If you want to join our GitLab instance, which is run by these special permissions for open source projects, you can join there. And I think the most difficult one is the marketing onboarding, where you decide on a name and a project. This is typically the one which takes the longest amount of time. But once you've done that, this is also a service from our foundation. You get a landing page, you get your complete corporate identity basically for the project, and then you can use that wherever you want. In our project, we have two different stages of projects. You can be either a snowflake or a glacier. The TSC decides what you can be or what you are once you've joined. There is technically no limitation of time to get from one stage to another, but we are very closely monitoring that you try to move in the right direction, and right now this is not a problem at all. So we come up with, or the technical steering committee came up with a guideline for all those projects so that you know where to work on. This is divided into 6 dimensions. It's the roadmap, documentation, release management, collaboration, quality assurance, and governance. This is all split up for Snowflake and Glacier projects. So the amount of work is always adapted to the project's current state. And as I've said, we started with 1 project. We then had 3, and now it's like 7. It's very difficult for the technical steering committee to know everything about each state of each project. So we try to automate this. I try to automate this. I try to codify the guidelines, which you can see at this URL. And we built these project matrix. I don't know if you can see this. The columns are the projects, and the lines are the guidelines from the TSC. That's similar to what the OpenSSF Best Practices Batch program does, if you know that. So I think this is a very interesting piece of software which helps our projects in the future to get better. Also to know which other projects does one thing good and where you can go to learn from. Okay, so the title of my presentation also said Saxony in action, and I want to get into detail about this. In my previous occupation, I have been a member of parliament in Saxony, and this was like the one thing I liked most doing about it. The state of Saxony has now an open source software strategy. This is something where they analyzed all their software and they came up with like an Excel document of 6,000 lines of different software they're using. They checked all the licenses, what they have, and they now are forced to measure and increase the amount of open source software they're using. You can also, if you're interested here, there are the links here, and there's also a recently parliamentary inquiry, like a kleine Anfrage, where you can see what the current status in Saxony. We had a talk in Saxony where all the people from the state government came, a very large crowd. I would have never thought that so many people are interested in that topic. Yeah, very great. I already talked about FOCIS, the team I work in, and you can't be in computer science if you have not an acronym as a name, and Free and Open Cloud Initiative Saxony is ours. This is something I think is really important for the people who look into financing and funding open source projects. Our project is funded by the Richtlinie Landes- und Technologieförderung. There's no English translation, sorry, and it's subsection F, other measures supporting innovation. And the main target of this Richtlinie is that the funding is intended to enable the implementation of measures aimed at strengthening the innovative capacity of companies in Saxony's economy and their competitiveness. So I think there are similar Richtlinien in other states as well, and you should have a look there as well. I think that's a good way to finance open source software, even if it's not explicitly stated in the Richtlinie. It went quite well. It's like I think it was 10 months from the initial idea to the signature, and we are very grateful to the state of Saxony that we can work on open source software. We try to work as openly as possible. We have all our issues in an openly accessible GitLab. We work closely with all the project representatives, and yeah, this is really great fun. Helena is also here if you have questions about our community. What we do also is we try to demonstrate and try to help you get off the ground. We have a call for demonstrators online. If you have something which is in the cloud service provider domain, come to us, ask us. We have resources which we want to share. So some other things we are able to do with the funding by the state government are the tech talks. They are basically also a foundation of our of ALASCA. This is something we do from the beginning. This is like I think we have 33 talks right now. Every last Friday of the month, you get high quality content about something which is done in the cloud native environment. And it's you can apply there, but it's so booked. The next free slot, I think, is available in June. We also do summits. We have done 2 already. They are growing every year. We actually outgrew our venue in Dresden, the Hygiene Museum, if you know that. So we have to go into a larger place this year. This is, I think, something which is really great to get to know the people which you see only in the small rectangles over the year in person. We talk to our local politicians, we have workshops, and we talk to people like the people from FOSS or Zendis outside of our association. Yeah, the call for participation is open. We plan with 300 participants, 30 talks, and the best thing is it is free. So you can get your ticket today if you want. Also, one thing we do we really like to do are hackathons, and this is something which is where we were very glad that our founding member Claude and Heat provided us with cloud resources. I don't know if you know, but cloud or hackathons in this domain are very resource intensive. For example, we will have a hackathon at the Chemnitzer Linux Days in 2 weeks from now, and we are deploying OpenDesk on our CNCF certified Kubernetes called Taruk, and you need 12 cores and 32 gigabytes of RAM for like 1 participant, and we can spawn like 20 of them in the hackathon with our own infrastructure. So that's really great, and also something we really like to get to know with the SS community or here's something which we did with Dataport in Hamburg a couple of weeks ago. We also do political campaigning. We have done that from the beginning of our association. We have press conference or press talks. We try to do that with company leaders and political leaders. We participate in the Sächsische Digitalpreis, and we actually won it. We talk to our local state government, and we publish white papers. We publish opinions for the Deutschland stack, and I mean, lots of other people also have done that. And we actually have been successful. So the sovereign cloud stack is now part of the Deutschland stack. We also sign open letters when the head of the BSE, for example, says that digital sovereignty is not achievable in Germany right now. We are raising our voices there, and we also put in our opinion for the call of evidence from the most recent European Open Digital Ecosystem strategy call by the European Commission. And we also try to know what our community thinks. So for this presentation here and for our future work, we did a little questionnaire within our community, and we found out that almost all of our people who participated here, they want to have, the things they want from our community is they want to have stability, they want to have long-term governance, they want to have guidelines, they want to have, they want the foundation to be technical mature, they want to have interoperability, and they want to share their knowledge, they want to learn stuff. in general, people think that we are actually quite healthy. I hope we can get into the 1.x territory next year, but I think in general this is quite nice. And we also know what we should tackle in the future, or what people in our association think we should tackle in the future. This is the lack of funding and the lack of procurement by the public sector of open source software. Not all of it is in our power, but yeah, at least we know what they want. Okay, and with this, I would close my presentation, and thank you all for your attention. And I am very happy to take any questions if you have them.
Hi, did you ever explain what the difference between glaciers and snowflakes is? I'm not sure if I phased out for a second or something, but I was really curious about it when you mentioned it, and then I think you never explained it. Can you get into this a little bit, please?
It's basically a measure of maturity within for our projects. Typically, if you are joining the foundation, you will be a Snowflake project. And if you fulfill all the requirements defined by the technical steering committee for being like a glacier project, you rise up. But the standard is very high. You have to have all different there is so many different things. You have to have documentation in the DIA-Taxis framework. You have to have a quick start guide. You have to have SBOMs and so on. So the list is actually quite long, which you have to achieve.
One more question from the online people. You said open issues were open. You said your issues were open on GitLab. Are you also open to contributions? Are you collaborating with other federal states?
All our projects are open source project, of course. So the projects itself are open for participation. We do that in summits, we do that in workshops, and so on. But this is not. I mean, I work in the organizational part of ALASCA, and I do not really program there. So the projects are open for collaboration. We are the FOCIS team is obviously open for collaboration, but I think the tasks which we do at FOCIS are their like internal structure of ALASCA, and probably not possible to work on this with other federal states. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
Thanks again for the talk.
Thank you.